Yo, what's up, Thrashers? Man, it's been a couple days. I'm making good on my word. Posted a little teaser video yesterday for the next lesson, and here it is. This is The Preacher. Love this song. I was gonna do a more popular tune off of the New Order record, but I feel like this one's kind of right in the middle ground of like one that isn't like the favorite, but everybody probably knows it. At least I hope. So, yeah, this one was really weird and kind of a weird struggle. I looked at some live video and other things, and it's just kind of, you know how it is with the production on this album and like how they do their riffs, their harmonies that they have between Alex Skolnick and the other guy. I hate doing that to him because I was it Eric Peterson, I think, actually. Now that I'm trying to actually use my head. But no, their stuff is really cool. It's just the riffs are really weird, usually harmonized kind of weirdly, but yeah, I'm going to do my best to kind of give you what I think is going on. So it starts off with this bit here. That little riff, and that's pretty easy. Push you back a little bit. So we start off with this power chord here on the A string on 4. And then if you listen closely, sometimes when they do this, there'll be a couple bar dives. 2 at the end before they do the little fast picking thing. And then we have that kind of deal here. So I see some people doing it 2, 3, 4, but I don't think it goes that high. I don't think it goes to 4. I think it chills out around those first frets there. So you have a open to 2, and then to 3, so you're kind of climbing minor. And then you're doing a gallopy, 2 hits on the 3 and then back to the 1. And then another gallopy thing from 2 to the 1. So 3 to the 2 and then 2 to the 1 with gallops. Or maybe like not 2 to the 1, but 2, 1 open. It could be any permutation of those gallops where you're like hitting 2 of the notes on 3 and then to 2, and 2 on 2 and then to open or something. Or maybe they're going to the 1. It's so quick that it's very difficult to know exactly what they're doing. But if you do some sort of permutation of that, any alteration is indiscernible if you're playing it at the actual speed. It's like that. And now the main riff, I'm kind of torn between the 2 different ways of doing that. I think this is Eric's part. I think he actually does like a kind of Metallica, Leper Messiah ring finger trick with this one, so I'll show you how that goes. That's your beginning bit. Starting on that same chord you started on with low E kind of muted patterns in between. And you have that little 3rd fret power chord, but with that middle finger thing. Right? And then you're ascending that kind of idea with on the A string 2, 4, 3, 2, 4, 5, 7. So together, and then this where you're kind of doing like minor major 7 arpeggio basically, like so, going across the strings, or maybe however you want to finger it, just get that 3rd in there, and then it repeats. And you have that 3s. That's what Eric's doing, I'm pretty sure. And it sounds almost like Alex is either doing that with like octaves or fourths. It could be either one of those. And then for that, Alex is doing or same notes, just how you play them. Just an octave up of this thing. And it could work either way. Alex doing fourths or octaves. because I hear that higher note in there, but I feel like it might be fourths. And you just basically take the power chords that Eric was doing and do them with fourths on the top two strings after them, like where your ring finger or pinky would be. You do like that. Kind of like that Ride the Lightning thing where James is doing, but Kirk is doing, you know, same kind of deal. Just follow the power chord. Or do it with octaves. It's hard to tell, because on the live video that they do have, I think it's in 88, camera doesn't follow any of them too often. But I know from that video that Eric is probably doing that middle finger thing there, I think. Don't take this as like gospel or whatever, but I'm decently sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that riff goes on for a while. And sometimes I like to just slide it. It's whatever. And now we're into the cool part with the harmonize. So that little thing, you could do this a billion different ways, but you're just doing an E minor arpeggio and then the end changes. So every single time you're going to start with this E minor climb. But then you go back to throw that note in there, the flat 5, sharp 4, blues note, whatever you want to call it. Tritone, billion different ways to call it what it is, but that's how I like to do it, repeating the shape in octaves, but you could do it stretching across, going there actually, if that makes it easier for you, if you're more of like a strum across instead of pick every note. For the second time, instead of going to the flat 5, you go to the 4. And then now you go to the flat 6 there, and then lastly you're changing it to the major on the flat 6 there, and the major arpeggio. Giving that kind of tonality there. So from top to bottom, and for this, I like to go on the high string here and do that one. So on those frets, but you can do it across. Any of those types of arpeggios would work, any of the rearrangements of the notes, but I just like to do it there. For Eric's part, and Alex is doing the same thing, I think he's doing it way up here, like that. So starting the shape, exact same notes, just an octave up. And then the last one, where you really see the major sweep. And you see the ending of it there. And then Chuck screams, "The preacher," and then you get into the main riff, which is kind of gallop idea. And you're pedaling off of this kind of thing occasionally. You just throw that in there really quick. The galloping pattern is pretty simple. Okay? And you're just going back and forth with the power chords. And I'm torn on the ending of the gallop phrase into the power chords, though. Sometimes I feel like they're just like throwing in 16ths at the end like this. I'm sorry. You know, or another gallop. I can't really, it doesn't really matter. But you can experiment with either way and see which one sounds cooler. That's the main riff for most of it. And then they end it with that, and then they repeat it again. And then they do this thing. And I think they change it to where the end is now a pull-off 1 to open. And then they segue it into the next riff. So that's the way I used to do it, and I feel like it could be this way or it could be a different way. Here's what I'm hearing. 2 and 1 on the A string are your power chords. And I'm hearing a slidey thing. Now, I don't think they're sliding and then letting it droop out because that doesn't sound low enough and weird. I think it's either using the middle finger like that there and kind of like letting it trail off as a slide kind of sounding thing, or these chords are played up here, but it doesn't sound like that based on like the actual like character of the notes. It sounds like it's on the A and the D string, but if it isn't, it would make sense for the slidey thing to happen like that, where you and slide it away. And I think on top of that, Alex is definitely doing that thing with these being slid away as well. So you have like these like minor second kind of feeling, you know, and then you get these major thirds and then these minor thirds with the thing, whatever the hell, but you get what I'm saying. And then, you know, Alex will do that only at the end. You don't hear these throughout the whole thing, you know. That's pretty simple. And in between those, you get that little lick I showed you with the pull off on the open. And then they segue it back into the main riff again. You know. And then the thing again where they do the riff, but then they stop it and they do the thing again. But then after that is when the solo comes in, I'm pretty sure. And I think the solo is happening. I'll double check the solo riffs, but I'll just show you the solo right now as I know it. And I'm going to be pretty contentious with like how I see people doing the solo, which I don't see too many. But what I do see, I don't know if it's 1,000,000,000% right. I don't even know if mine is exactly correct. But I'm going to give you the best that I got. So it starts off with chilling out in the E minor pentatonic over this kind of... I think that's the riff that's going on behind it. I don't remember. But you have this trilly thing with slight bar dive. And I think you occasionally hear Alex go back to that note. But then you end on it and bend it at the end of the phrase. I just don't like to bar dive there. I feel like it kind of locks my hand up, like my right hand, and I can't pick as accurately. And then you have this tapped bit. And I think he might be doing that with the pick instead of his finger. Right? So you have this really fast double taps. Really fast. And then it does this, right, that kind of, that type of descending thing, but I think it does it in the tap. So when you have it, yeah, that type of ending bit. Sort of like that, where you just go down the pentatonic continuing. If you don't, you want to pick it, I think it goes there. So you have that. And then this next little bit, which I think it's probably just these 3 notes. But you mute them and you're hitting 2 of these. And you're bending this note here pretty high. Then a hammer on, bend. Then you're going down strings to these 2 notes and bending it flavorfully. Now you're in the kind of looking like a pentatonic thing here. So you're bending that note there. So after you go down with like this thing, so that little bit, right? And I see people moving this thing down. It's kind of weird. But bringing it across way up here. But I kind of think it would be more logical to stay up here for that little lick there. I think it's either going straight down like that, or maybe going down and then back up. You know, so from what we have so far, yeah. Or maybe it's 2 of those for sometimes. I can't exactly tell. You kind of just got to feel it out, to be 100% honest. It's not like I couldn't tell what it is, but it's way better if you, as a player, are just feeling the groove of the solo as you've listened to it over and over and over. So that one. And then you're going to go up, and I hear that type of thing going down 3. And then sometimes stunting it. And I think some people bring it down to like a 3 note per string thing. Or something like that, or maybe they'll do the pentatonic. It could be. But I like to stay up here, where I'm up. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure it is kind of down here. Right, so you do that enough, and then you have this kind of thing where you hear this bent note, like a that note right there. Now, going from this type of lick, or maybe even up here where I do it, and then trying to shoot way up to this note, bending it up, doesn't seem logical to me. What I think it was is Alex Skolnick was messing around in this pentatonic where I am, and then he went up and bent the same note just down an octave and maybe pinched it. And they were like, fuck, that sounds really good, but we want it to be a clean note. So they just, in post, went there instead. I think it makes way more sense, even if you're up here, to shoot up to here on 12 at least. Not all the way up here to whatever the fret this is for that. So I like to do a pinch on here to get that same note. So from like this little bit, I'll do it. And at the end of there, I just do some sort of thing to segue into that bend. And now you're chilling in this pentatonic here for the next little bit of it, which supports my theory that he was just chilling out in this kind of region of the neck, where you have that kind of lick there. And I gotta remember what the phrasing is exactly for this, but you're basically chilling out. And you're kind of trying to do some like pull-offy stuff to get this note, and then this note. So what I'm trying to think. Let me do it from where I know it. I think it's something like that, where after doing this pull-offy, you do this, that little idea. Something sort of like that. You'll be able to pick it out pretty easily. It's not too hard. And now you have this ascending fours. And I do it up here. But I think maybe in the live videos what I see Alex doing is being way down here and doing like the ascending. And I think at some point he might switch to the high E string. But it doesn't really make sense to switch to the high E string earlier because of this, that lick that he does. You know, where he does that lick, it wouldn't make sense to switch to the high E until you're up here. So the way I do it, I start here and I do some stupid picking thing to get up to there. And finish off the solo. But maybe it would be easier for people if you don't have like this picking across the strings thing to go shoot way down here. And then wait till you get up here to do this lick. And I guess I'll show you the lick really quick. I think I hear something like that, where you have that idea. And then you carry it up just for one little bit of it. And then you're bending this note way the hell up and then ending there, I think. So from the ascending thing, sort of like that. I like to do it here though. That ending bend is super high. I don't think Alex intended to do that, but he just left it. But it's a pretty cool bit. So, from the top, to recap, start with this kind of pull-offy bar thing. Then this pentatonic tap thing with a double tap. And then you do this little lick. Kind of something like that. Either you pick it like that, or you do it in the tap. However you do it. Then when you reach that, you do this. Really fast, double hitting this lowest note in this 3-note thing. Bend the note in your ring finger. You hammer on. Down, soulful bend. Back string. Blue note. Then fourth. you know, from the pentatonic. So now the pentatonic licks, something sort of like that, something cycly. Then up here, and then some sort of lick to get you up for this 12th fret bend. Throw in a pinch if you want. And then the kind of weird pentatonic lick that goes across. And you kind of want to do some sort of lick, get you to land on this note, and then descending. Something to get you to do that. So, and now you choose, depending on the person you are, to shoot way down to here to do the single string thing, or if you're like me, you do it across strings starting up here. That always trips me up. That little switch up there. For that little bit. And then this little lick. Then let's carry it up in the fingering. But only for the last like one or two of those, and then the bend there. Cool. Solo done. Took way longer than it should have, but man, we got there in the end. Good job. Now, it goes back to this little harmony bit. Right? And Alex still does that, and then it stops, and I think Eric is just behind him to support him doing that, or maybe that to give the ambiance. And then he harmonizes with them. And then you have this riff. And that's weird. I can't tell if it's low E to E octave to octave again. And then like repeating it. But I think it's easier if it's a power chord here with like a fifth thing. I hear this. That idea. Two hits on this power chord up here. Sliding it down, and then again. And the 3 hits on the 3. No, 4 hits on the 3. Blech. And then behind that, Alex is doing like a... I think something like that with octave. And then shoveling back into the same riff. You know that one. Then after enough of that, they start just doing a bunch of the listen to these words I preach over this thing. Either there or switching up there for the slide, or maybe the whole time it's up there. One of those. You know. And then they end it with some stupid thing with like something like that or whatever. I don't really remember too well. I'm 90% sure the solo riffs are just like the same riffs they had earlier in the song. But you can tell there is a key change that happens, because he goes from chilling out in E like with that thing, and then the you know, where E is your home, but after the pentatonic it switches to Now You're Home is, what would that be? You're thinking now like a, that. So you got like, what is that? C sharp? Right? C sharp minor. And then back to E. So there has to be some sort of different riff going on behind the solo at that certain point to change it from an E minor based thing that he's doing changes into that. So I'm going to really quickly check out what that riff change is, and then that's everything you need to know about the song. So just give me 1 sec. So yeah, it is just a different riff, but it's the same one from earlier, I think, and it's that same. But something I thought about now, just as I was doing it, which could be likely, is that maybe Eric isn't going back for those power chords. Maybe he's doing fifths, but then for these power chords, it's actually where he's doing the fourths, and there's no lower note behind. Maybe I'm misconstruing it. I don't think so, but I don't know. I'm casting a lot of doubt on myself today for this tune because it's really weird. If you saw some of the videos of them demonstrating their other tunes where they have like stupid ass like chords like that buried in there somewhere, like something stupid. I don't even know where they have like this thing, or maybe the minor 9 somewhere. They have some stupid weird stretchy thing within the chord of one of their songs, which I don't remember, just because they're just so technically gifted and compositionally different than a lot of the other thrash groups that it's mind-blowing. But man, that makes me question a lot of the riffs because I don't know if they're doing something weird or not. But no, yeah, that riff is just that same thing from way earlier. I think he still does that while Alex is doing that thing. Going up for that bend is always really weird. So, yeah, just focus on, I guess that's probably the hardest part of the solo to me, at least. That's about it. That's everything there is for this song. I hope the video was somewhat helpful. I'm not going to make it too much longer. Listen to metal, play metal, be metal. Look forward to my future videos. I'm probably going to do, again, I got a Warbringer song in the works. And maybe I'll do some other stuff, some more Exodus, some more whatever. Who knows? But yeah, look forward to that. Leave comments. I like reading comments. Yeah, not much else to say. Peace.